She has completed her BCom from Delhi University and she completed her MBA from Institute of Management and Technology, Ghaziabad. She is working as a senior education and career counselor. She has been awarded as the best counselor among 30 topmost counselors when she was working with Princeton Review. So she worked as a senior education counselor. She has received scholarship facilitation services private limited. She worked at education advisor at Manya, the Princeton Review. She also worked as MBA associate in Red Pen, Worli, Mumbai. She has a goal to have college and career counseling in all respect in India. She has also given a lot of dedication in Vedanta also. So she is a educator member of inac.org and we warm welcome you ma'am and please kindly accept this virtual bouquet as a token of love and gratitude from the Institute of VIT. Welcome madam.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rupali, and thank you so much, Dr. Swati, for giving me this opportunity to interact with you and interact with the students at VIT as well. I am quite excited about this webinar, and I will, without any waste of time, I will start this session. So good morning, everyone, and I really appreciate all of you for your time and for your dedication, and I hope that you have something to take away after this webinar. To ensure that this webinar is, something that's exciting and not boring, I am not showcasing any kind of presentation because I feel, for me, presentation is always boring. So I wanted to talk, and I'm open to take any kind of questions as well towards the end of the webinar. So I understand how difficult it is to look at that screen for like continuously 8 to 9 to 10 hours a day. It's maddening for each one of us. And if you're here, I want to make sure that I use them, use your time and maximize your time and make the best of your time. So allow me. Thank you so much again. So a quick introduction. Thank you so much, Rupali, for giving my introduction, but I would take just 30 seconds to introduce myself again. So I am Shraddha Singore, and I am in this education consulting domain from last 9 years. Earlier, prior to working for Wayne State University as the country recruitment advisor, I used to work as a consultant where my role was to help students to shortlist the universities, helping them with the exams to take, helping them with the applications process like statement of purpose, resume, letter of recommendation, etc., was my primary work. And after almost about 7 years of spending my time as a consultant for students, I switched and joined the other side of the panel, which is I started working with the university. So I have almost about 1.5 years of experience at Wayne State University, and right now I'm helping them to I would say help them to recruit the students from India, and whosoever from India applies to Wayne State University, if they have any questions, anything they want to talk about the application process, about their profile, so on and so forth. I am based in India. They can get in touch with me or somebody from the United States directly. So we have agenda actually. So what I'm going to be talking about one by one, I'm just going to be sharing again with you. I'm hoping that you've already, are aware that what are the kind of things that are going to be discussed in this webinar. So I'm just going to quickly talk about those 4 things. And one would be the college application process. So I know that you already know what is the college application process. If you have given a thought to the US for your higher education, I know this much of research you have already done where you know that what are the kind of documents that I need in order to be able to apply, in order to be able to eligible to target the master's and the PhD program. So I'm not going to be talking about those kind of things that are very common and in general. I would rather be talking about the changes that have taken place due to the ongoing circumstances. You might have heard a lot like, okay, GRE, that's required or not. That's mandatory, somewhere it is required. So what is the case? Should I take it or not? So these kind of perplex situations and battling situations, I see students battling with nowadays. I'll be talking about it a bit. Now, the second point in the agenda is how the campus responded to COVID-19. When all of this happened all of a sudden, then how the campus responded to it. I know you guys, most of you know that what happened in the US and what happened with universities, what happened with international students. But I would quickly talk about Wayne State as well, that how Wayne State dealt with this kind of situation, especially when it came to dealing with the international students and assisting them a lot when it was needed, naturally. So the third point that I'll be discussing is pandemic has caused limited access to the opportunity. How do I build a strong profile? How do I become a diverse applicant? How do I ensure that I get the maximum attention when the admission officer is reading my application? So that's what I'll be discussing. And towards the end, I'll be talking a little bit about Wayne State University's programs offered and, scholarship, teaching assistantship, career services, so on and so forth. So these are the four things I'm going to be discussing. If there is anything that you feel is kind of missed and you want to know further, start off putting your questions under the chat box. So I and Rupali, we can take it one by one towards the end. And if you want to speak, you can always unmute yourself towards the end and you ask your questions. Feel free to do that. So yes, the first point, college application process. So quickly, when you apply to the US, the universities for the master's and the PhD program, there are two kind of tests that are required. One is the standardized test, which is either GRE or GMAT. And second is, because we belong to non-native English speaking country, we need to give one of the English language proficiency tests. So that can be TOEFL, that can be IELTS, that can be Duolingo, MALAB, PET. So many tests are there, but majority of the students in India have seen taking either IELTS or TOEFL because that's what is widely accepted almost about everywhere, not just US, but in the other English-speaking countries as well. But now, what I have seen students complaining to me is that when they come to me, they tell me that, Shraddha, I wanted to take TOEFL, and it was so, it now you can take TOEFL from home because of this ongoing circumstance. You can choose to take TOEFL from home. But what happens is that technology, the requirement of the technology is so much sometimes that it's difficult to take it from home. So students, I have seen taking Duolingo. They say that Duolingo is something that's easy, doesn't ask for much, and result comes quickly within 2 days, and then it's easy to send score, and it is budget friendly as well. I've heard it's USD $50. That's what I've heard. I've not taken this test, on my own. I have not tried it on my own, but that's what I am discussing with you or sharing with you because that's what I have heard and I've seen students struggling with. So you can either take Duolingo, you can either take IELTS or TOEFL, whichever is easier for you. And if you want to know more about these tests, want to know my recommendation, suggestion, towards the end of the session, I will be leaving my details here as well so that you can easily reach out to me and talk to me about your problems and your specific program. So these are the two tests that's required. And then third is statement of purpose, resume, and letter of recommendation. Statement of purpose is where you talk about your aspirations, that why do you want to study this program, what makes you feel that after computer science, data science is something that's for me, after say mechanical engineering, I want to switch to masters in industrial engineering. So you talk about your interest by citing some logical examples. And then you talk about what are your goals are. So what do I see myself doing after finishing off my master's? So if I am going for master's in computer science, if I'm going for master's in business administration, what are my goals after finishing, after coming out of that program? So I need to be talking a little bit about my goal as well. See, I understand that it's very difficult to tell the goals and share the goals, and nothing is fixed. If you ask me honestly, Shraddha, where do you see yourself 2 years down the line? I don't know. I really don't know. But I have a plan in my mind, right? I have a vision. So we want you to talk about your vision there. Now, towards the end, I am not sure if you guys are aware, there are more than 4,500 universities in the United States. And ideally, what we do, we apply to 6 to 7 universities in a year because the application process is exhaustive. More than that might hamper the quality of the application or quality of your documents. You don't want to do that. You want to be the best version of yourself in the application. You don't want to put the half-baked application to the, in front of the university officer and expect them to give you what you want. You have to give 110%, so we can give 120% in return, right? So how do you, why do you like this university? You're supposed to talk about towards the end of the statement of purpose. For example, if you've chosen XYZ University, so what is about XYZ University? Or for that matter, what is it about Wayne State University that you have liked a lot? How do you associate the resources that are available at Wayne State University with your thought process or with your expectation? That's what you talk about. So again, to brief it in one line and summarize in one line, statement of purpose, you are supposed to talk about your interest towards the program, what your goals are, and third, why do you want to pursue this kind of program in XYZ University? That's what is statement of purpose all about in brief. Now, second is resume. That, resume basically is just the snapshot of your achievements. So by achievements, I don't mean that you have to be somebody at the state level, somebody at the national level or international level. No, that's not limited to that at all. Anything. You have done some project, talk about that project and what was the outcome of that project. You have done internships, why don't you talk about the internships? Why don't you talk about what kind of learnings you've had from that kind of internship? What kind of contribution you made to the companies that you have interned with? Talk about extracurricular activities that you were a part of. You have research work, or you have done some research, or you're still doing some research. Talk about that research work. So anything that tells me more about you beyond your 8 CGPA, 5 CGPA, 7 CGPA, I want to know that. I will be happy to know that. So I can consider or factor in those, those side of you as well, to be able to decide whether he's a right candidate for his target program or not. So that is resume. Again, resume is a snapshot of your achievement. That's it. Towards the end is letter of recommendation. Somebody who knows you, somebody who can talk about your strength, qualities, can be a recommender. Now, I'm assuming that all of you are still studying. So in your case, your faculty will be your recommenders. So anyone, Dr. Swati had taught me electronics and communication. From last 1 year, she knows me, she has seen my performance. I would go to Dr. Swati and request her for the letter of recommendation. So basically, letter of recommendation consists of, a perspective of the third person. From the third point of view, how the person thinks that you are going to be somebody who's going to be, doing this program successfully, who can bear the rigor of this target program, who can cite one or two examples that can show me as an admission officer that this student is a good student, because the third person is also diving into the application process and vouching for your achievement. That's your recommender and letter of recommendation. I always, I would say, encourage students to start off the application with letter of recommendation, because when third person is involved in the application process, you don't have a control over it, and you want to make sure that you are not keeping it for the end. Rather, start it with recommendations. And when you're applying to the universities, when you know that I'm going to be starting off the application process, after 2 months, start off talking to your recommenders, so that you are giving them enough amount of time beforehand so that they can plan it, strategize it accordingly. Because remember, students, you just are one for yourself, but for your teachers and faculties, there are 10,000 more work and 10,000 more students who are looking for their recommendation. So it's a very time consuming process for them as well, because it's not just one liner that they write. They have to sit thoughtfully, think of all of the examples that they want to put in the recommendation letters. So you should be making sure that you tell them, give them a heads up in advance. That's letter of recommendation. So the changes that has taken in place in the application process is that many of the universities have said that, okay, GRE is not required. So hear me out carefully. One is GRE is not required. Two is GRE is not mandatory. So wherever it says GRE is not required, you do not need to submit the GRE score, even if you have taken it. If you have not taken it, that's fine. They do not need GRE score at all. But wherever it says GRE is not mandatory, that means it's optional. That means indirectly, if you have taken it, please report your scores as well. So for the ones who are planning to take the GRE, no matter whether it's required or mandatory or not, please take your GRE, and whichever university you apply to, carefully read the language. If it says not mandatory and you have the score, so there is no point keeping it with you. You have taken it to showcase, right? Report your score. So for example, at Wayne State University, Majority of our program does not say GRE is mandatory, right? GRE is, required. It says GRE is not mandatory, but you have taken it, report your score. If you have not taken it, that's fine. It's not mandatory. But if you feel that this information is confusing, and I'm expecting that one of you is sitting there for mechanical engineering, somebody sitting there for industrial, somebody sitting there for automobile, so on and so forth. If you want to know anything that's specific to you and your program, feel free to reach out to me later after this session. I'll be more than happy to help you there. So that's pretty much about the GRE scenario. Now, English language test, no changes there. You have to take it. I mean, I'm saying that for the majority of the universities, including Wayne State University, that GRE is required. The English language proficiency test is required because the mode of instruction there and the only language that we speak there is English. And then if you're struggling there, that means that it's going to be difficult for you to bear, along with the rigor of the program, it'll be difficult to bear, in normal conversation could be very difficult there, speaking to the locals there, going out, when you're chilling out, it's going to be very difficult when you are not well versed with the language there. So you need a strong command with the language, which is English. So that's why at Wayne State University, we do need the English language test as well. I'm not talking about what's minimum, what's maximum. That you can figure out on your own. You're smart enough, and I'm here if you struggle with anything. How the second part of the agenda was how the campus responded to COVID-19. So there was a lot going on in the news that, international students were asked to vacate the dorms and go back to their home country. And then they came back, this and that. You have heard all of those stories and you're well versed and you're aware already. At Wayne State University, our dorms were never shut. All of the international students or any student who were, availing the dorm facility were still there. They were not asked to leave. But of course, we made sure that safety is the utmost priority. So we maintained all of the social distancing norms wherever it was possible, even inside the dorm halls as well. So that's how Wayne State dealt with, the COVID outbreak all of a sudden. Nobody was asked to go back. I mean, they were staying on campus. Whosoever was on campus, they remained on campus. Now, the third point is pandemic has caused limited access to the opportunities, right? I want to build my profile. I want to do something more other than my course and curriculum. Do it. I mean, nobody's stopping you. The only thing that has changed, if you see carefully, students, is that everything is still there, but everything has transitioned for a temporary period of time, temporarily to online. It was offline before, now it's online. So it's not that opportunity isn't there. I do not understand what students said that opportunities are limited. I say they are not limited, they're still there. It's just that they're no longer offline, but that's temporarily. So online. So for example, if you think you had some internship, right, and that got cancelled because of this, then you can maybe take up some course from Coursera. You can take help from Udemy. You can take the courses on LinkedIn. Those things or those opportunities are not shut. It's all about how do I make the most out of available things. It's easy to cry. It's easy to be a victim and say, oh my God, I don't have this. Oh my God, I would have done this if I had this. It's easy, It's always easy to cry because, sometimes it's fun as well. People sympathize with you. What's difficult is to be strong. What's difficult is to find, something out of the waste. That's difficult. And that's what, most of us hesitate to do because that demands us to be out of our comfort zone. That's what you have to do. If you want to outshine, if you want to be somebody different, you have to, I would say, surpass that comfort zone in order to showcase or, the best version of you. That's how you become the best version of you. So how do I build my profile? There are tons of opportunities online. I don't have to name them. You already are aware, right? It's just maybe I'm reminding you that it's there. So please do that. Please take that up. If internship, you can do online internship, great. If you can do online courses, great. For example, I come from electronics and communications background, and I feel that I want to try business analytics. And I feel that, there's so much happening in the, business administration side as well. And because I've come from the engineering background, I don't have much know-how about management. So I want to try masters in business administration. But before I decide that, let me take one or two couple of management related courses on Coursera, or according to my experience there in the 2-3 weeks course, I will finally decide whether I really want to take this up or not, right? And this is what you mentioned in your resume: Coursera management course, business communication course from Coursera, Udemy. It's always a good thing to do something more, and because now everything is online, you're saving a lot of time. So I understand it's easier said than done. There's a mental pressure, and mentally, I was devastated for like 4 months after this outbreak, and it was so difficult for me to manage. And I'm also, as that may be the case with some of you as well, I understand, but this is something that we cannot do anything about, right? Rather than thinking about all the things that we have no control of, maybe try to divert my mind to something else that's going to give me something in return, something good in return, right? So we can talk about it later if you want to. I'm more than happy to evaluate your profile and have a one-to-one online meeting to talk more about your programs, your goals, aspirations, universities, etc. later. So yeah, that's pretty much about the third point. Now, without wasting much of time, the fourth one I wanted to talk about was Wayne State University. So let me do a bit of justice to this university as well that I work for. So Wayne State University is a public university, just like India. We have private university and government university. We have the same in United States as well. So some universities are private and some universities are public universities, which is like run by the state government, and some are community college. Community college is not of our concern, so I'm not going to be talking about that. So Wayne State is a public university, government university. It's funded by the state, and then it came into existence in 1868, almost about 152 years ago, and it's a research-oriented public university, and then has 13 colleges within Wayne State University, by which I mean College of Engineering, School of Business, Social Work, Pharmacy School, Medical School, and then College of Liberal Arts, the total College of Law. So total we have 13 colleges within the umbrella of Wayne State University. And this the campus is based in Michigan, in the midtown city called Detroit. So Detroit, Michigan, United States is where it is located, and we do not have any other branch or campus. It's just one campus, main campus there. And we offer almost about 370 plus degrees at the undergrad level, at the master's level, at the PhD level, and certification programs as well. Certification programs are not for international students. It's just the full-time program that's meant for the international students. So that's pretty much. And then I am going to be talking a little bit about the College of Engineering from the College of Engineering perspective, because not assuming anything or not being, I would say, maybe some of you are not looking at engineering courses only, but I am just hoping that most of you come from the engineering background and want to be getting into the STEM field again, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So I'll talk a little bit about the research work. However, if I'm talking about College of Engineering, does not mean that college is just limited to engineering college. There are other, separate non-technical program version as well, and the colleges as well that we can talk later. And if you have any question related to that, again, I'll be taking it towards the end. So I see, students talking to me about the research work that, this is my idea. And do you have any professor who's working on this research work, who's doing some research on this? Or how about if I want to do some research activity or perform some research activity, will I be given the access to the resources, instruments, fund? I want to bring this up, that I said very carefully towards, when I was talking about Wayne State, that it is a research-oriented university. That means it is research-oriented university. Last year, we spent almost about $250 million in just research work. So you can understand that how huge the research is at Wayne State University, the ongoing things that has happened already. So I'm talking about that because, when you're coming from a technical background, I assume that you don't want to be confined to the books. You don't want to be confined to the classroom. Engineering, or say for that matter, something that falls into this science bucket, is all about discovering. And discovery cannot happen just through the books or just mugging up what's given there, right? You need to try things out in order to be able to discover or come up with something new, right? And it all starts with the idea. I assume you have the idea, But to materialize that idea, you need the faculty, you need the infrastructure, you need instruments, and the most important thing, you need fund. So all of that is, taken care of at Wayne State University. So that's pretty much. And then scholarships, yes, we have dedicated scholarships offered by College of Engineering for the international students, especially other than the other scholarships. So there are many type of scholarships, and scholarship varies from department to department. So if you ask me, Shraddha, can you name the scholarships? I'll be like, I don't know. I don't even remember how many scholarships I have. And for that matter, you also not going to remember how many scholarships, how many fancy names I'm going to take here. So if your simple question is, Shraddha, do you have scholarship? I would say, yes, we have scholarship. Do you have scholarship that's for international students? I would say, yes, I have scholarship for international students, right, as well. So feel free, go to the website, find out more about the scholarships on your own. And what about the teaching assistantships and research assistantships? Yes, it is available for international students. It is available for the students at the master's level, at the PhD level as well. However, it's not for everyone, for sure, right? It's there, but and the vacancy would be there. I mean, the career services team will help you to, will help you with the finding out these kind of opportunities as well, as long as you meet the minimum required eligibility criteria. You will be, you are more than welcome to consider and apply for those kind of assistantships, right? If you are the best as per the interviews and as per the further conversations, you will be selected. And it is hard to get the assistantships at the master's level, I'll be very honest with you. But if you ask me, is it there, I am good enough, I feel, yes, it is there. If you're good enough, go ahead and apply, right? And what are these, what are the application process? Application process is pretty much same, honestly. It's, you apply with, your transcripts, the scorecards that you have from the university. And if you have the GRE score, please report your GRE score as well. But GRE is not mandatory for majority of the programs. So please make sure to check your program specific admission requirements prior to starting off the application work. And English language proficiency test is required. Any one of these, Duolingo, TOEFL, or IELTS would do. In Duolingo, we need 125 minimum. In IELTS, we need a minimum of overall 6.5. And in TOEFL, we need a minimum of overall 79 IBT. So any one of these tests, not all of these. Koi bhi ek le lenge to that will be fine. And then that's English. And then some of our programs don't ask for statement of purpose, resume, and letter of recommendation. But if it does, then in that case, you will have to submit these reports as well, or these documents as well. And that's pretty much about Wayne State University. Now, what about the jobs, and what about internships, which is the most important question, I understand, from the return of investment perspective. Then we have a dedicated team that is a team of career services that will be working with you from day one, not just with the not just for creating a platform or doing a job fairs where they have the recruiters come in and then you can interact with the recruiters, but from the perspective of helping you to be prepared, helping you with the interviews, helping you with drafting the resume. All of that will be taken care by the career services team, which will be working with you from day one. So that's pretty much about Wayne State University. I think I've covered probably, or most probably, each and everything that I wanted to talk about here. So I will leave this to Miss Rupali. So over to you, Rupali.
Thank you so much, madam, for explaining us the detailed application procedure for this university. I have
Sure.
few questions from my side first, and then we will. By the time I request all the students to post your questions in the chat box, so that we will take one by one. Madam, you said GRE is non-mandatory, but one of the English language tests they have to pass. So it could be either TOEFL or IELTS. Am I right, ma'am?
That's right. That's right. Yes, GRE is not mandatory for majority of the programs, but for English language tests, you will have to take one of these tests. I mean, either Duolingo or IELTS or TOEFL. Any one of these tests would do at Wayne State University, as long as you meet the minimum requirement of the score.
Okay.
Anything else, students? Please feel free to ask your questions. If you don't want to type it, you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions. Here I see one question from Siddesh. So do you want to read that question, Rupali?
Yes, ma'am. There is one question. I'll read it out. Does applying right after graduation for MS give you an edge? If not, then how much does work experience matter? Work experience matter.
That's a very good question, Siddesh. So it actually depends on your goal. That what goal do you have in your mind? It's you to decide whether you want to take a break after undergrad for some time to gain some work experience, or you want to go for your master's right after because you have a reason, right? So there is nothing called does it add an edge or not. Definitely, if you're doing anything additional, forget about this MS. If you're doing anything that's related to your academic or non-academic, anything additional, that's definitely going to add some advantage to your profile. But why are you doing it is the question, right? So if I'm asking you, why do you want to do your master's right after your undergrad, and you tell me that, Shraddha, I have a clear goal that this is what I want to do, and in order to be able to reach my future goal, I know this master's is going to help me to get equipped with the kind of skill sets that's required. That's why I'm going for the master's program right now. That's why I feel staying back and working for some more time is not going to be that much valuable, right? That's why I'm going for the master's program. But however, if on the other side you say, Shraddha, I think I want to work for 1 year to think whether, what is it that I want to do in the future? Is it actually masters, or is it actually, waiting for some time and then figuring it out, right? So that depends on you. Even if you do masters right after your undergrad, it's definitely gonna add value to your profile. And if you want to wait for some time, get some work experience, and then go for the master's program, again, that will be valuable too. But keep in mind, right, for some of the programs, having 1 or 2 years of work experience is mandatory requirement. So for example, in just one program, as far as I am aware, in the College of Engineering, that's called engineering management, that's where we need a minimum of 2 years of work experience after undergrad, then only you can apply, right? So be careful to check that. If work experience is not required for the masters to be eligible for the masters, which is the case in the College of Engineering at Wayne State University, you do not need to have the work experience unless you want you want it to be like that, right? So that's pretty much is the answer. I hope I've answered your question, Siddesh. If you have further questions, feel free to reach out to me later. So Adesh has one more question. Adesh says, I'll just do it for you, Rupali. That'll be quick, I think. Adesh says that GRE score isn't mandatory. So isn't it increasing the competition for us? That's a very good question, Adesh, right? But I would, throw some light on the other aspect as well. If GRE was the only deal to, only thing to make or break the deal, we wouldn't have been asking for your transcripts, scorecards. We wouldn't have been asking for your resume, letter of recommendation, right? From the Wayne State perspective, we do not look at just one thing. We know that GRE is not the true representation of yourself, and sometimes, to be very honest, I feel GRE has got nothing to do with me deciding whether he'll be able to bear the rigor of the program or not, right? If I want to know whether he'll be able to bear the rigor of his future program or target program or not, I would rather go back and check your transcripts that how were you performing in your undergrad. If you were performing in, okay in your undergrad, that means you can do well. If you were struggling there, that means maybe this, master's is a wrong choice for you. The subject is wrong choice for you. So my answer to this question, Adesh, is there are so many other factors as well that we keep into consideration when we are deciding whether to give the student admit or not, when we are, comparing your application with the other applicants. So I hope that answers your question. So Nakul has one question, which is, okay, Nakul wants to know, is it often advantage? Sorry, Rupali, you want to say something?
Yes, same thing. How advantageous is a semester abroad experience in undersigned for MS?
Okay, all right. So sure. So Nakul wants to know if there is any advantage of doing a semester abroad during the undergrad. I would say it's not necessary, but if you have anything that diversifies your profile, always good to mention in the application. Now, it's not something that's going to break or make the situation, but definitely added advantage will be given to your application. I mean, I am a diversified students, right? There are 100 applications with, that none of them are talking about semester abroad, but 101, that's me. I'm talking about my experience of living in Singapore, United States, UK, anywhere for that matter, right? It's going to be something that's going to diversify your profile and add some value for sure, right? So, Rupali, do you want to read Saurabh Bhalke's question?
Yes, yes. Could you please elaborate on how recent US government policy on immigration is going to affect admission process?
Saurabh, that's a very relevant question. And, I also think about this question every day because the situation is so volatile right now. And, from the climate, perspective as well, no political climate perspective as well. So it'll be very hard to comment on these kind of questions because this question is not, even I don't know the answer to this question. If you ask, Joe Biden, even he wouldn't know how what's going to be the impact because nothing has been laid yet, right? He recently took the oath on the 20th of January, and it's just been 5 days. So we are still planning, right? And then just like you, I am also going to go by what is decided eventually. So it's a good question. What I would definitely recommend, sort of, is keeping an eye on the news every day so that you're aware what's happening, right? That's what I do, sort of. So I know I have not answered your question because honestly, none of us have the answer to this question, not even Kamala Harris, I would say. Yeah. So, Rohan.
What is the average tuition fee for MS in any college in USA?
So I would say any college in USA will be difficult, but at Wayne State University, the tuition fees for 1 year would fall somewhere between of $20,000 to $25,000 for a year. Yeah, Atharva.
As far as LORs are concerned, is it okay if all of them are from our professors? And does the professor who gives the LOR matter, like the HOD, has more weight than a professor?
Very good question, Atharva. I am loving the questions. So, Atharva, here's the thing. There is always a dilemma. Students say that, is it the content in the letter of recommendation that matters, or it is that who has written this letter of recommendation that matters? I would say it's somewhat a balance in between of these two. Now, my head of department, hardly knows me, has never taught me anything, but giving me letter of recommendation. How? What is he going to write in the letter of recommendation? Because we don't know each other. It's just by face to face we know and we say hi, good morning to each other. So keep that thing in mind. Whoever is writing your recommendation, be it your professor, be it your HOD, they should know you. They should have good examples and good I would say things to talk about in your letter of recommendation. So I would say if I had to give weightage, I would give more weightage to the quality of and the quantity of the recommendation letter than the designation of my recommender. So that's the answer to your question, Atharva.
Yeah, next question, ma'am, is can you please give us a brief idea about the overall expenses for a single semester in US?
Okay, Gitakshi, I think I've answered this question in the last question. So I would say for one semester, you just have to half it down. So if one year is $20,000 to $25,000, so one semester will be $10,000 to $12,000 a year at Wayne State. And living expenses, that really depends what kind of lifestyle you have. In our college housing facility, the 1 year of housing facility starts from $6,000 onwards and goes till $10,000 to $12,000. So it really depends. A year. I'm talking about a year.
Okay. Is it true that gaining internships or placements during MS is a tough task for the international students? Does having some work experience is preferable for them?
So, Sanket, is a good question, actually. I should definitely be talking about internships and work experience, considering the amount, which is huge, that I'm going to be investing. Good question. But I would say, in the United States, we never say we have 100% placement guarantee. We never say that. That's why we say that we have job fairs. Everything is served to you on a silver platter, but eventually you're going to be the one who's going to eat. So I'm going to, make sure that I have, recruiters who are coming to talk to my students, meet my students. But if my students are not speaking up, if my students are not giving them the answers, if my students are not doing anything, that's where career services team can't do anything. So I would say opportunities are equal for everyone, be it international students, be it domestic students. If opportunities were difficult for international students, we did not have huge international students coming from India only. So we get huge number of applications from India, especially from the southern part of India, including, I mean, I know that Maharashtra is not southern, but we get many applications from Maharashtra at Wayne State University because of the kind of experiences that their seniors have had, and they have seen and heard of.
Next question, ma'am, is does having lower CGPA or CPI affect my chances of admit adversely?
That's a difficult question, Aditya. Now, I don't know what's the definition of your lower CGPA. If you say anything below 6, is it difficult to get into the university? I would say that depends on the program. If you are going for a program which is very rigorous course-wise, maybe. But if you're talking about a program which maybe is not that rigorous, then maybe, it's very difficult. And as I said before, Aditya, it's not just the one factor that we're looking at. We're looking at other factors as well, other application components as well to be able to decide. So Aditya, I would say you'll have to be a bit specific. And if you don't want to discuss your profile now, you can discuss your profile with me later. I will leave my details here for you to reach out to me directly.
Can you please throw some light on video resume to make it more effective?
Okay,
Video
all right.
resume.
Okay, so Divshehas, you will have to just make sure that you're just being yourself when you're, doing this video resumes. Of course, the content is going to be the same, but when it comes to video, it comes a little bit on the presentation as well, right? How do you speak? How do you showcase yourself? How do you articulate your thoughts? Be very precise. Practice almost about 5 to 6 times prior to recording the actual or actual video that you're going to be sending to the required folks and places. It's just the content's going to be the same. You just have to be thoughtful. You just have to make sure that you're wearing something, which is kind of formal or semi-formal as per the requirement and as per, what it is required for. You're looking at the web camera, not looking at here and there. You're not speaking informal and slouchy, sitting slouchy or using the kind of language that we use, informal language that we use in day out in our daily lives, which I'm using a lot in this webinar as well. So it's just that you'll have to take care of. My strong recommendation or suggestion to you would be that take your 4 or 5 rough videos or prepare yourself, beforehand prior to recording the actual one. That's the only difference in the video resume. It's more to do with the articulation, more to do with how do you talk, more to do with how do you present yourself. That's it. Otherwise, content-wise, it's same. I'm not going to change the content, right? If I've done BTech, it's going to be BTech. It's not going to be anything else I can be talking about in the video.
Ma'am, one question from my side. Any assistantship provided for students in terms of learn and earn facility for international students? Specific.
So I don't understand that question. I would just, love it if you could elaborate a bit.
No, for international students, are you providing some kind of assistantship in terms of learn
Okay.
and earn facility so that they will earn also by the time they are learning over there?
There are so many things going on, but right now I'm not sure if this kind of facility is provided on campus because most of the things are taking place in a hybrid fashion, which is things are online and offline as well. So anything that has to do with on campus, traveling on campus, being there, it's not happening right now.
Okay. Any specific highlights of this university can you mention, ma'am? Just a list of 2, 3 highlights. I mean,
Sure,
why should
sure.
you think of? Huh?
Sure. So it is a very research-oriented university. I mean, although we have the non-technical program as well, and it's a huge, it's research is a big kind of deal at Wayne State University. So there is Wayne State University is also a part of the Carnegie Foundation. And I am sorry, I'm falling short of that word. There is some research project that's happening in the state of Michigan, and there are 3 universities that are the part of that research, organization. One is Michigan NABER, one is Michigan State University, one is Wayne State University. From the last 5 years, these 3 universities have been able to discover one thing a day, every day. That big it is when it comes to research work. And because Wayne State is located in the main city, which is Detroit, Michigan, I'm speaking from the internship and industrial experience perspective. There are, companies, headquarters of the companies located. So when it comes to doing internships, when it comes to doing project work outside of campus, when it comes to work experience as well, it's not located in a situation which is very secluded, but it is right there, surrounded by so many industries, diverse industries and companies. So I'm talking about that, keeping location perspective into my point, because when I'm in international students, definitely I want to gain some practical experience as well. And it's very difficult for me to travel from one state to another when it comes to internship. But it's very important for me to see at the same time that what kind of companies are there outside of the campus, within the proximity that I can make the maximum use of. So that these are the highlights.
Okay. Thanks, ma'am. One more question. Does our type of internship matters? Like,
What
does
do
it
you have?
really need to be a research internship, or is it fine working under any company in the specific field? In our structure, we are having 6 month internship for the students, final year students. So they are asking question related to that, whether that internship matters over there.
It is the quality of work that you have done during the internship that matters. So hear me out. If you're thinking that, I have interned with Boston Consulting Group, but I was doing nothing literally. I was just, typing whatever the content they were giving me and taking the printouts. I have met those kind of students as well. So I'm like, Boston Consulting Group definitely sounds good. But what was your work? That's nothing, right? So it's the quality of work that matters. What you brought to the table, what you added, what you did, that matters than the name of the companies and basically that's the answer to your question. So don't be worried about the name, the brand name, but definitely keep one thing in your mind, that if I am taking this internship, what am I going to add and what is going to be the takeaway this internship for me that I can talk about in my resume. So you need to be aware of that and you need to keep these things into consideration.
Okay. I want to know, there are study abroad agency working in India or everywhere. So is there good chance of student selection who have applied through the agency, or the individual can apply on their own?
So here's the thing. I think you mean that education consulting firms. Education consulting firms can help you to organize your application process, but they're not the decision makers. So decision makers is going to be the university people that you're going to be applying to. So if you're applying through the consulting companies or applying on your own, doesn't matter, because we don't even ask that question. We look at your application and decide on the basis of your application whether to take you or not. So you can definitely apply on your own as well. They just help you to make the process systematic and organize the process for you.
Madam, what are the accommodation facilities for students
I'm
over
sorry.
there, and accommodation facilities for students, and impact of COVID in hostel facility, if it is provided, the usage and utilities related to
So
accommodation?
So we have the housing facility for international students as well as domestic students. Whosoever wants to avail thereof, they can, of course. So as I said before, when it comes to impact of COVID, as I said before, that our hostels have never been shut; they were open. So we are just making sure. So, for example, cafeteria, right? The layout of the cafeteria is changed now to ensure that we are maintaining the social distancing norms, right? The layout of the dorms, the layout of the classroom, if there is any class happening in person, is different. So all of these things are kept into consideration, but COVID has not actually impacted any of the operations that we have been performing in the past. It's just the way we are performing it right now is quite or slightly different the way we used to in the past. So for example, VIT is not shut, VIT is still open, right? But the mode of lecture is maybe online, but that's temporary. It's going to go back to
Yeah.
normal, right? Nothing has been stopped.
Yes, ma'am. One more question. Does my undergraduate university reputation boost or affect my chances of admit at top universities? Should I consider that while doing university selection for matters? For
So I
masters?
I would say that, if you say that I'm coming from XYZ university, which is the top university from India, but your CGPA is like 5.5, no, that's not going to help, right? But if you're coming from very average university from India, but your CGPA is, oh my God, 8, oh my God, 9, and there are so many activities that you're talking about in your resume, so many research work, your professor's recommendation, your LinkedIn profile, and your research idea and your SOP is so strong, right? That's what's going to be making a difference rather than just the brand name. So I can again go back to what I said before. Do not be worried about the brand name, right? Do not be worried about something that is not in your control, right? Do the thing that is in your control and make the maximum out of it. That's what I would say. Tanmay. So it's the quality of your candidature that matters rather than just the name of the university or the brand name of the universities that you're coming from.
Yes.
Thank you so
As
much.
no rules and regulations are made relaxed or non-mandatory in this pandemic situation. Only the way has changed. Am I right, ma'am?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Yes.
So everyone, I have given my details here. My name is Shraddha Singore and this is my India number. I am on WhatsApp as well. This is my email address, wsuindia@wayne.edu. Please keep this with you. With this session ending, I am not saying, I'm not thinking that our relationship has ended. I want to nurture this. It is just the beginning of our relationship. I am positively hoping that there was some takeaway from this information session, and I look forward to speaking to you again in the future. Please feel free to reach out to me. Do not be hesitant thinking that maybe my question is not significant, this and that. Ask your question no matter, don't care what I think about your question or not. I'm eventually going to answer it. If you do not have the answer to the question, that is a significant question. That's how I work and my mind works, right? So feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to Rupali. And Rupali, please feel free to reach out to me if you have any question for any of the students who may be struggling with while working with you. I'll be more than happy to help you here.
Yes, yes. Last question.
Okay. Okay.
Is there any internship, 6-month internship is available at that university? Not complete MS, but 6-month internship, some 6-month small research project. Is it possible?
For the international students?
Means can students over here can come over there for internship, research internship like you told na, there
Right,
are projects going on
right now.
in
So right
university.
now, what's happening, as I said before, is that nothing that used to happen on campus is kind of taking place. Everything is online right now. So also these things are very subjective. So we'll have to check, go to the website and see what's happening and what can I do to, are they, each of the departments, they operate in a different way. Their operational, the way they work is different. So it's a very department specific question. But from my perspective right now, because everything is online, it's like 90% of the things are online, so nothing's happening on campus. College of Engineering is kind of, it's open on a very limited with a very limited opportunity or very limited work power. So that's how it is working right now. That's how the things are taking place right now there, Rupali.
Yes. Thank you so much, Shraddha Singore ma'am,
Thank
for
you.
detailing all the things,
Of
procedures,
course.
applications, and you have solved all the questions very nicely. You have given
Thank
answers, and
you.
I'm sure most of the students and along with me also, we will definitely take a virtual tour of your university today to understand all that.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed the session. And, the way to look at the session and, figure out whether this session was helpful or not is by looking at the quality of the questions. I really love the quality of the question. They were very relevant and logical. So I thoroughly enjoyed answering them. If I have not answered or taken your question by mistake, please forgive me and reach out to me personally. I'll be more than happy to help you there. Thank you so much, Dr. Swati, for this opportunity. I'm not sure if Dr. Swati is there. She had to run for the meeting, but please give my regards to her. We're going to be connecting later. And thank you so much, Ali, for being here and organizing this entire session, taking care of it. Thank you,
Thank you so
everyone.
much. Thank you all students. So we will stop now today.